We often have vigorous and contentious discussions in the comments here at Daily News, and this past week, with its focus on philosophizing about transgender issues, was no exception. See here and here. I'm happy to provide a public square for the profession to have these kinds of discussions, and I appreciate those who contribute to them in informative, insightful, helpful, and creative ways. That said, I think there are some steps we could take to make the conversations here better. What follows are some suggestions that I hope people take into account when commenting here, in addition to adhering to the comments policy. Avoid contentious, evidence-less generalizations. Don't say, for example, various S's say X, without providing at least the rudimentary details, names, at least, of some number, at least 3, of specific instances of S's saying X. Don't say, there are never any T's at Y's, without providing several examples of Y's at which T's should be expected. And for the love of the availability heuristic, don't respond to this request by saying that everyone knows the generalization you are making is true. Not everyone knows, and if it is in fact something to know, let's get some details so we can be epistemically responsible. Insert joke generalizing about how Justin always mentions the availability heuristic here. I understand that there may in some cases be good reasons for refraining from providing details, however, being unwilling to spend the time and effort to find and describe them is not such a reason. Avoid needlessly using or mentioning provocative terminology or labels. As someone who has been moderating these discussions for a while now, I've noticed how even the mere mention of certain terms, let alone their use, negatively affects conversation quality. Certain words, even when merely mentioned, can generate angry responses and insulting exchanges, alienate other contributors, and attract trolls. And sometimes, those words themselves become the subject of the conversation, derailing discussion of the post. Maybe you don't think the term should be provocative, and maybe you are right that it shouldn't. But if you suspect it is, try to use other, less provocative words to make your point. Yes, my wording in this suggestion violates suggestion 1, but that's because I'm giving priority to suggestion 2. Avoid insulting, dramatic language, especially those adverbs. You don't need to say that a view is astonishingly wrong-headed, astoundingly ignorant, or ridiculously irrelevant. That dramatic language is needlessly antagonistic, and, at the risk of violating this very suggestion, alas, it comes off as rather juvenile. Just explain the mistakes, provide the missing information, steer things back on course, etc. Remember that you are speaking to your colleagues. Be a good colleague. There are various heuristics one could use to check oneself on this. Not all will be appropriate, but some of them should be. When commenting here, you should generally be able to agree with the following statements. Note that these are about the way you are communicating, so put aside, for the moment, any worries about the specific content you're communicating. Diamond suit: I would speak this way, face-to-face, to someone I have to work cooperatively with on an ongoing basis. Diamond suit: I would speak this way, face-to-face, to someone who I think is as smart as I am. Diamond suit: I would speak this way, face-to-face, to someone whose feelings matter to me. Diamond suit: I'm interpreting my interlocutor charitably. Diamond suit: I am thinking not just about what I am intending with my comment, but also about what the likely result of my commenting in this way will be. Of course you don't, in fact, have to work cooperatively with your fellow commenters on an ongoing basis. You may not think that they are as smart as you, and you may not care about their feelings. But that doesn't matter for the task of figuring out how to positively contribute to a productive discussion here. And here are some warning signs. If you find that your comment expresses any of the following, chances are you are not making a positive contribution to the conversation. Diamond suit: my interlocutor is in the grip of an ideology, while I am not. Diamond suit: my interlocutor is falling prey to various cognitive biases, but I am not. Diamond suit: my interlocutor is arguing in bad faith, while I am not. Diamond suit: my interlocutor should be ashamed of what he or she said, but I am not going to explain why. Diamond suit: my interlocutor just cares about his or her own ideas, subfield, friends, demographic group, power, while I care about philosophy. If you find your comments match up with these characterizations, you may want to hold off commenting, or revise your comment before posting it. I believe that keeping these heuristics in mind will help you communicate effectively and productively online, which is increasingly an important component of academic professionalism. Don't sock puppet. To engage in sock puppetry is to use multiple monikers in the same conversation. I can understand if someone who regularly comments at Daily News under their own name wishes to use a pseudonym on a particularly sensitive thread here or there. That's okay, but once you commit to a new moniker for commenting on a particular thread, that is the moniker you need to use for that thread. Don't switch to another on that same thread. Doing so is usually manipulative and creates false impressions. I understand that something in a conversation you've already joined might prompt you to wish you had used a pseudonym. Sorry. The administrative ease of having a simpler rule takes priority here. There's more I can say, but this is already longer than I planned. If you haven't ever done so, please take a look at the comments policy. I'll spare you the details for now and just quote one line from it here. More generally, let's aim for more thoughtfulness and less obnoxiousness. Humor and lightheartedness are welcome. Just don't act like a jerk. As someone who has sometimes unknowingly been the jerk, let me reiterate that bit of common sense that your parents probably told you when you were a teenager. You don't always know how you come off. You don't always know, but that doesn't mean the situation is hopeless. I hope that the suggestions in this post help. I also hope that those who have been reluctant to contribute to discussion here because of their dissatisfaction with the tenor of the comments decide to join in. To them I say, be the commenter you want to read on the blog. Thanks for listening. I understand there is a risk that what I've written here will sound like scolding, despite my efforts to counteract that. If you feel scolded, I'm sorry. Perhaps you can take comfort in knowing that I'm aware that I've had my share of communicative failures, and also that I'm also aware that I'm not aware of all of them. As usual, your comments and suggestions are welcome. P.S. I am currently in an airplane somewhere high above the Atlantic Ocean, traveling to a conference that I will be at all week. As a result, you can expect that my attention to DN will be somewhat reduced. There may be longer than usual delays if a comment needs moderation or an email needs a reply. Have a good weekend.